Iphigenia, the First Sacrifice. Part 1. The Silence of the Wind. The 1,000 ships of Greece were gathered at the port of Aulis, ready to sail to Troy to retrieve Helen. The greatest army the world had ever seen was restless, eager for blood and glory. But there was one problem. The wind had stopped. For weeks, the sea was as glass as flat. The sails hung limp. The heat was oppressive, and disease began to spread through the camp. The men were angry. They blamed their leader, Agamemnon, the High King. Desperate, Agamemnon called upon the seer Calchas to find out which god they had offended. Calchas consulted the flight of birds and the entrails of sacrifices, and he delivered a terrifying answer. "It is Artemis. You, Agamemnon, boasted that you were a better hunter than the goddess herself after killing a sacred stag. She has halted the winds, and she demands a price to release them." Part 2. The terrible price. Agamemnon asked what the price was, expecting it to be a hecatomb, 100 cattle. But Calchas shook his head. "Artemis does not want cattle," the seer whispered. "She demands blood for blood. To sail to Troy, you must sacrifice your fairest daughter, Iphigenia." Agamemnon was horrified. He was a king, but he was also a father. He refused. He told the army to disband. He would not kill his own child for a war. But his brother, Menelaus, whose wife Helen was the cause of the war, and the cunning Odysseus pressured him. "If you do not do this, the army will revolt. They will kill you, and then they will kill your daughter anyway." Broken by the weight of leadership, Agamemnon finally, tearfully, agreed. But how could he get his daughter to come to the camp to be slaughtered? Part 3. The Lie of the Wedding. He sent a letter to his wife, Queen Clytemnestra, back in Mycenae. It was a lie woven with hope. "Send Iphigenia to Aulis immediately," he wrote. "The great Achilles refuses to sail unless he marries her first. Our daughter is to be the bride of the greatest hero in Greece." Clytemnestra was overjoyed. She dressed Iphigenia in her finest white robes, braided flowers into her hair, and brought her to Aulis, believing she was attending a royal wedding. Iphigenia, young and full of dreams, arrived with a heart full of joy, eager to meet her handsome groom.
When they arrived, the atmosphere was wrong. There was no music, no feasting. The soldiers looked away in shame. Achilles himself was confused. He knew nothing of a marriage proposal. When he found out that his name had been used as a trap to lure a girl to her death, he was furious. He drew his sword and swore to protect her. But it was too late. The entire army knew the prophecy. They surrounded the tent, demanding the sacrifice. The truth crashed down on Clytemnestra and Iphigenia. The altar was not for a wedding, it was for an execution. The groom was not Achilles, it was death. Clytemnestra screamed and clawed at Agamemnon, cursing him to the pits of Tartarus. But Agamemnon stood like a statue of stone, tears streaming down his face, unable to look his wife in the eye. While the adults argued and the soldiers shouted, Iphigenia stepped forward. She saw that her father was trapped. She saw that the army would tear them all apart if the wind did not come. In a moment of bravery that outshone every hero in the Trojan War, she spoke. "Father," she said softly, "do not weep. If my life can save Greece, if my blood can launch the ships, then I give it freely." She refused to be dragged to the altar. She walked with her head high, her white dress fluttering in the stagnant air. She silenced the rowdy soldiers with her dignity. She laid her own neck upon the stone block. Even the executioner's hands trembled. Agamemnon covered his face with his cloak. He could not watch. The priest raised the knife. As the blade descended, a miracle occurred. The goddess Artemis, moved by the girl's incredible courage, intervened at the very last second. In a flash of blinding light, Iphigenia vanished. In her place, struggling on the altar, was a white deer. The knife struck the deer, and its blood spilled onto the stone. At that exact moment, the wind began to howl. The sails snapped full. The army cheered, believing the sacrifice was accepted. They rushed to their ships, leaving the grieving mother behind. Clytemnestra stood alone on the shore, staring at the bloody altar. She did not see the miracle. She only saw the betrayal. She went home not to mourn, but to sharpen an axe. The wind blew the Greeks to Troy, but it also blew Agamemnon toward his doom.